Nice little trip. Nice little play of the game. Specialist achieved. Okay. 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 What's up, young kings? Razanon here. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I hope you are done with your Christmas shopping, or you've at least started, and I hope your holiday season is better than mine today. As you can probably hear, I just got sick yesterday, which is annoying, but we'll figure it out. Regardless, today I wanted to go over all of the SMGs. I wanted to rank them for you from what I feel is best to worst, and I wanted to give you the best class setup I've found for each of those guns. So we're going to go through all 6 of those. I'm going to rank them, and we're going to figure out what's best, what's worst, and why. I've played a lot with the SMGs in this game. I have all of the SMGs max level. I have all the attachments, and I wanted to make sure I had every attachment for every SMG before I did this video, so that number 1, I could show the ideal class setup without any limitations, and number 2, because I wanted to get a lot of experience with each one of the guns so that I could compare and contrast them all with a lot of experience using each one. And a quick reminder before we get started, I do stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Razanon. It's the same name as my YouTube channel. I'm a small, humble streamer. It makes me super interactive with chat because there isn't too much going on. If you want to come talk with me, ask me questions, tell me I'm a dumb piece of feel free to follow me on Twitch, stop by, say what's up, and I would be happy to chat with you. Links in the description. Starting with number 6, the worst SMG in the game, in my opinion, is the Uzi. I know it got buffed, but it did not make it good by any means. I still think far and away it is the worst SMG in the game. Nonetheless, this is what I've found to be the best class setup. One thing to note real quickly is that you're going to see a lot of the same attachments. So for the Uzi, we have the monolithic suppressor, tac laser, no stock, stippled grip tape, 50 round mags. The reason I run monolithic suppressor on this gun and a lot of guns is number 1, any suppressor is going to make it such that you don't show up on the compass when you fire, and if the enemy team has a UAV up and you fire your gun, even if you have ghost, if you don't have a suppressor, you'll show up on the minimap. If you have a suppressor and ghost and you fire your gun while the enemy team has UAV up, you still will not show up on the compass or the minimap, which is super strong. That's why I strongly encourage you to run any kind of suppressor if at all possible, especially if you're playing with Ghost as your red perk, which also I would recommend. And then the reason I run the monolithic suppressor as opposed to the lightweight or the tactical is because particularly with SMGs, I don't mind taking a hit to my ADS speed because most of them draw really quickly anyway. And either way, I'm going to throw on other attachments to increase the ADS speed. So what the monolithic suppressor provides you is not only the suppressor effect that I just talked about, but also an increase to your damage range. And on SMGs, with how short their damage range is, increasing that is awesome, and it gives you a lot more kill potential at a wider variety of ranges, making this probably my favorite attachment and the most impactful attachment in the game. Tac laser I really like because it increases your sprint to fire speed and your draw speed, and it's only visible when you're aiming down the sights. And then we've got no stock for that, again, increased movement, increased draw speed, 50 round mags because I just like having a fat clip, and again, the added weight with an SMG, especially with the other attachments we're running, is not that big of a deal. We're still going to have really fast draw speed with this setup because of the no stock, the tac laser, and the last attachment, stippled grip tape, which I almost always run because the only downside it has is aiming stability, which is idle sway. And in my opinion, idle sway is not relevant at all unless you're using a sniper rifle. And of course, the benefits of stippled grip tape, mainly being that ADS speed, perfect. It's essentially an attachment with no downsides that are relevant. And the reason the Uzi is the worst SMG is because its time to kill is not very fast, you have to land a lot of bullets, its damage ranges aren't great, and it has a lot of recoil compared to other SMGs. You can put on a bunch of low recoil attachments, and then it's going to draw slowly, still have more recoil than other SMGs, and still not kill as quickly as other SMGs. So all in all, this is a 0 out of 10 SMG. would not recommend using it whatsoever. Next up, 5th out of 6 best SMGs in the game, the P90. Now the P90 is interesting because it has a bunch of unique attachments that really set it apart from every other gun, and it's really fun to use. And there is the caveat that even though it is one of the worst SMGs in the game, it has the fastest sprint to fire speed possible. So we're running monolithic suppressor. We're also running the forged tack retribution barrel. Those two things are both going to increase the damage range of the gun, because all the other attachments are going to increase the sprint to fire speed. First of all, we have the 5 milliwatt laser. It's always visible. I talked about how I don't like that, but in this case, I'm maximizing sprint to fire speed. That's the reason I'm using this gun, because it has the fastest sprint to fire speed in the entire game. Number 1, we have the 5 milliwatt laser to accomplish that goal. Number 2, the rear grip stippled grip tape, again increases, in this case, the sprint to fire speed. And lastly, the stock, the fly strap, the only stock in the entire game that increases your sprint to fire speed, giving you a total of 3 attachments that increase your sprint to fire speed. This is the type of SMG I might use if I'm playing like Shoot House 24/7, for example, and I'm really trying to just rush and constantly be holding down that sprint button for the entire match. If you and some other dude are sprinting at each other, you see each other at the same time, you will begin firing faster than every single other gun in the game with this setup. It's got an insanely fast sprint to fire speed, so it makes it a really good rushing run and gun weapon. The only problem with it is that although it's very fast, it takes a lot of bullets to kill because it doesn't have access to anything like a 10 mil conversion kit. Its damage ranges just aren't that far. So although you can start firing more quickly than a lot of other guns, your time to kill is still going to be a lot slower than a lot of other guns because it just needs a lot of bullets to land. Fortunately, it has very little recoil, so it's easy to land a bunch of bullets. The only problem is it takes a lot of bullets to land before someone dies. So that's why this SMG is ranked number 5 rather than number 2 or 1. Next up, we have the MP5. Now I know a lot of you are probably screaming at your monitors right now, "But Razanon, the MP5 is the best gun in the game. All the pros use it." Listen, if I'm playing Search and Destroy, where most of my gunfights are going to be 1v1s, yes, the MP5 is the best SMG in the game. In that case, it has an insanely fast time to kill, particularly at close range, and it has relatively little recoil, so you can really fuck kids up in the 1v1. The reason I'm not putting this higher on my list, for general use purposes, for playing online, not in a search and destroy tournament, which should be pretty much all of you, is because it has a pretty steep damage fall off, and it has a decent amount of recoil. And when you couple that with the relatively small magazine size, it's actually not super effective for playing online public matches. Regardless, it's still a great gun, and there are a lot of different class setups you could do to this to optimize for up close run and gun, time to kill, or decent recoil control at mid to longer range engagement. But this is what I feel like is the best overall class setup that is going to do well at all ranges. Again, we got the monolithic suppressor. I put a mini barrel on this because if I put on the monolithic suppressor in one of the long barrels, it draws a little too slowly for me. And if I wanted to use an SMG at that long of range, I'm going to use a different SMG. So if that's the case, then I'm going to put on the short barrel instead to increase that ADS speed so that this fills a particular niche that other guns can't. So I have the mini barrel on there. I've got the collapsible stock, again for that increased draw speed, the stippled grip tape, and the 45 round mags. The reason I don't run the 10 mil mags is because, again, I'd rather have the extra 15 bullets in a public match so that I can kill 3 or 4 people before I have to reload, rather than only being able to kill 2 or 3 people before I have to reload. In addition, the 10 mil rounds have a lower fire rate and more recoil. And on an online environment where I'm not playing in a LAN, and with the sketchy Call of Duty servers that I'm sure you're all familiar with, the slower my fire rate, the more shitty connections and bad hit registration are going to affect me. Because if I miss 1 bullet, but I'm firing at 1,000 rounds per minute, my next round's gonna hit very soon afterward, and I'm gonna miss fewer bullets if my hit registration isn't great for that kill window. But if I'm firing at 500 rounds per minute and one of my bullets doesn't register, I'm punished much more because the time until my next bullet actually registers is a lot longer than if my fire rate was much faster. So that's two reasons why I actually like the 45 round mag a lot better than the 10 mil ammo attachment. Number 3, the Augie boy. This thing slaps, dude. It's a really good gun, and it is unique because it is, in my opinion, by far the best gun for killing kids at long range, in addition to still being very capable of killing someone who gets right up close to you. And the reason for this is that 5.56 ammo that you can put into the AUG. And even better than that, you can get that 5.56 in a 60 round drum. It does add some weight, but you, again, can counteract that with other attachments that the AUG has, which makes it super effective, again, at really close range and really far range. And the damage drop-off when you use this ammo is very little. So you're going to get a very similar time to kill when someone's really close or relatively far away. And that's what makes this gun so fantastic. In addition to that 5.56 ammo, we put on the monolithic suppressor to, again, get the suppression effect, get that further damage range to really complement that 5.56 ammo, and, of course, to reduce the recoil that this 5.56 ammo makes a little worse. In addition, to counteract those two very heavy attachments on the AUG, we put on the tack laser to increase the draw speed. We put on this Forge Tack CQB comb, again, increase the draw speed, and of course the stippled grip tape to, again, increase the draw speed. What this confluence of attachments does is make it have fast draw speed, relatively little recoil, insane time to kill up close, and it keeps that insane time to kill at relatively long ranges. So this, in my opinion, is the most versatile shredding machine of all the SMGs when it comes to keeping that consistency between short range, medium range, relatively long range. Number 2, the Beeson. This thing is absolutely nuts, and it is really good for two reasons. Number 1, the thick magazine. 84 round mags you can get on this thing. And what that allows you to do, of course, is kill an insane amount of enemies before you have to worry about reloading. In addition to that, it's got a barrel and a muzzle that will really increase the damage range, making it have a competitive time to kill not only up close, but also far. Because in addition to that long damage range, it has a very fast fire rate and very, very, very little recoil. So the attachments I'm running are the monolithic, the polygonal barrel, again, the 84 round mags, stippled grip tape to increase the draw speed, counteract the muzzle and the barrel, and the Corvus skeleton stock, which gives you ADS speed, movement speed, and ADS movement speed. 3 fantastic benefits on any attachment, and especially for an SMG like the Beeson. By far the biggest benefit to me for this gun is the fact that you have 84 bullets in one mag. It makes it extremely capable for killing multiple enemies when you run into a room and surprise there's 5 kids in here. But also it has so little recoil that you can kill really close or really far because the damage range is good, and because you have very little recoil, you can stay on target at those long ranges when your target hitbox is small, making this an extremely effective weapon at long and short range. And number 1, the best SMG in the game, in my opinion, one of my absolute favorite guns, an absolute beast melt machine, the MP7. The MP7 has virtually no recoil whatsoever. And when you pair that with the 60 round mag, the absurdly fast draw speed, even when you put on reduction to draw speed attachments, and the really high fire rate, the MP7 is just nutty at pretty much every range. I'm running the monolithic suppressor and the FSS Recon. This barrel is the longest damage range barrel you can get for the MP7, and I'm willing to do that because the draw speed by default is so fast on this gun that weighing it down with these two is very irrelevant. And then again, I put in the 60 round mags so that I have just the thickest clip possible, stippled grip tape to counteract the muzzle and the barrel, and then no stock to also do that, making it way more mobile, way faster draw speed, way faster movement speed, while still keeping the insane no recoil nature of the MP7. And again, with how fast the fire rate is for this gun, you can reliably get kills at any range. The damage fall off is moderate, but because it fires so quickly and has such a thick magazine, if you do see someone far and it takes a couple more bullets, it's very, very easy to stay on target and secure that kill in a couple extra milliseconds. It is far and away, for me, the best SMG in the entire game for these reasons. And if you haven't been trying the MP7 much, or if you haven't liked it, try this attachment setup and tell me you don't love the gun. I challenge you. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you hated this video, smash the thumbs down button. If you enjoyed it, a thumbs up would be great. I make exclusively Call of Duty multiplayer content on this channel. I play on PC, but of course, the topics that I cover are relevant for whatever platform you happen to be on. If Call of Duty multiplayer is your niche, consider subscribing, because that's the only game I play. It's the only thing I focus on. I spend a lot of time on it. So I have a lot of information and experience that you might not be able to get yourself just based on the sheer number of hours I put into the game. I hope to see you in my next live stream over at Twitch. Thank you for watching, Young Kings, and as always, remember, stay home. Oops.